Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at former President Donald Trump's best case scenario in the 2024 presidential election against incumbent President Joe Biden. So basically, if everything were to go right for Donald Trump on election day, how the electoral map would look like with some of these swing states. And not only swing states, some usual Democratic safe or solid blue states might actually be competitive because of Donald Trump's best case scenario. Before we get started with the map, make sure you guys are subscribed and click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my content. And also, if you are interested, we have memberships, so you can find a link to that in the description section. Now back to the topic of today's video. I'm going to be filling out the electoral map in Donald Trump's best case scenario. So basically, if everything were to go right for him on election day, how this map would look like. So let's start off with some of these states. Right off the bat, Texas would be safe for Trump. He's going to win that by 10%, double digits. You see what's happening with the border crisis. We have record numbers of illegal immigration. Considering that immigration is the #1 priority issue to a lot of these voters, if that's the case, then it's going to go in favor of Donald Trump. It's going to impact this race in a negative way for Joe Biden. And that's for Florida. This state has just shifted too far to the right. And Donald Trump might be able to crack double digits in this state. Keep in mind that Miami-Dade County went to Biden in 2020, but it flipped to Ron DeSantis in the 2022 midterms. So overall, this state has totally abandoned the Democratic Party, and Hispanics in the state have tremendously shifted toward the right in favor of Donald Trump. And states like Iowa, Donald Trump is going to crack double digits in this state. It's gone too far to the right for Biden to overcome at this point. And in Trump's best case scenario, I can honestly see Ohio going to jump by a solid margin of double digits. And they're probably wondering why I have Washington, Hawaii, New Jersey, and New York, and also Illinois a toss-up. And that's because that in a Trump best case scenario, those states will not be safe for Joe Biden. Meaning, if Trump had his best case scenario on election day, New York, Washington State, Hawaii, New Jersey, and Illinois will be decided by under 10 points, by under a safe margin. And with that being said, Washington State would be likely for Joe Biden instead of safe, meaning he wins it by roughly somewhere in between 7 to 10 percentage points. And now as for New Jersey, Trump just had a rally there, and he got record numbers of people to show up. And so, based off of inflation, the economy, if people are, not pleased with the Biden administration, even some Democrats are fleeing Biden, going to RFK or Jill Stein or even Cornel West, which can help Trump with the black vote, then New Jersey is going to be likely. And recent polling actually suggests that Biden only wins New Jersey by 5 to 7 percentage points. Actually, the most recent poll has Biden only winning New Jersey by roughly 6%. So if that is the case, then it's going to be competitive and not safe for Biden on election day. And now, as for New York, you see what's happening with high crime in the 2022 midterms. Lee Zeldin came within 5 points of actually winning the state on the governorship. And considering that New York went to Biden by over 20 points back in 2020, and the 2022 midterms on the governor's race, Kathy Hochul only won by a margin of 5 points. If that's the case, you're considering, high crime, and people are just pissed off of Democratic leadership, then New York could be decided within single digits. And actually, the most recent poll out of the state has Biden only winning the state by 10%, which is a big decrease from where he was 4 years ago in this state. So in Trump's best case, Biden only wins New York by likely margin. And as for Hawaii, Biden's going to win it by likely margin in Trump's best case scenario, mainly because of what happened with Biden's handling of the Maui fires. If voters do not like that, Biden's mishandling of that, then that can sway the race in favor of Donald Trump in Trump's best case scenario. And as for Illinois, similar to New York, you see what's happening with the spike in crime, basically in Chicago, spike in gang crime. Then that's not going to go in favor of Joe Biden, and that can sway the race slightly in favor of Trump. Still not going to be enough for, Donald Trump to overcome at the end of the day. Biden's still going to win it by a likely margin, but it's still good for any Republican. And, Illinois, we're talking about a solid Democratic state. So if it's even close within single digits, then that's not good for Joe Biden. Even if he may win Illinois, even if he may win New York or Washington State or New Jersey, it's not going to matter if he's only winning it by single digits. That's basically a Trump landslide. And then as for the districts up in Nebraska and Maine, Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District went to Biden back in 2020, and he should be able to win it. But in Trump's best case, if all things go right on election day for the former president, I think Trump is narrowly going to win Nebraska 2nd by a tilt margin. Keep in mind, this district is kind of, lefty, and it has a lot of neocons, neoconservatives, establishment, that type of Republicans in that district. So main reason why Biden won it back in 2020. But actually, a recent poll suggests that Trump may be able to, pick off Nebraska second. But we'll see at the end of the day. And then as for Maine's second congressional district, Trump won this district twice. 2 straight elections, both in 2016 and in 2020. So he's expected to, win Maine's second again in 2024 by a comfortable margin. And then as for Maine's at-large, this is where things get a little tricky because you have RFK on the ballot and he's an independent. And independents are known to do good in Maine. You take a look at Ross Perot. He performed very well in Maine and almost won the at-large. Trump could be close in Maine's at-large because of the third-party vote share, and that can narrow up the race. But in Trump's best case scenario, I still have Biden winning Maine's at-large by a lean margin instead of a safe. It was safe for Biden back in 2020. But considering the third-party vote share, Maine's at-large can be way closer in Trump's best case scenario. I think states like Georgia and North Carolina could be likely for Donald Trump in his best case scenario. Recent polling has Trump winning this state by roughly 5 to 6%. And the state actually underestimated Biden by 1 point back in 2020. But, some polls actually suggest Trump is up in this state by 7 or either 8%, and that is considered a likely margin. So, and in Trump's best case, this is probably going to happen. And then as for North Carolina, this state is also shifting towards the right. Republicans have gained in terms of voter registration. And when back in 2020, when Georgia and Arizona flipped to Joe Biden, North Carolina did the exact opposite, and it stayed red for Donald Trump. And so you can see how much red North Carolina is. Literally the entire nation shifted towards the left. Meanwhile, North Carolina still voted for Trump, even though Obama literally won it back in 2008. So yes, North Carolina is getting slightly redder, and some polls actually has Trump winning the state by 10 points. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but in his best case, I think he's going to win it by a likely margin of 7 percentage points at the end of the day. And then even in Trump's best case, I still think Colorado would go to Biden by a likely margin instead of a safe margin. This state is actually trending towards the left, even though it's still pretty much a left Democratic swing state. Democrats actually gained 4,000 votes in terms of voter registration. And so with that being said, I think Colorado is slightly getting bluer. Even in Trump's best case, he's still not going to come close to winning this state. And then as for New Mexico, I think this state will be closer than Colorado because it's a border state and you have the border crisis. So obviously that issue alone itself is not going to go in favor of Joe Biden. And now as for Virginia, Trump actually got endorsed by the governor here, Glenn Youngkin, who is very popular in this state, sitting at a 58% approval rating. So that can sway the race in favor of Trump in this state. Obviously, the governor is a Republican, and that alone, with the endorsement, could help Trump. But I'm not saying he's going to win it. It's, a lot for him to overcome at the end of the day. Even in Trump's best case, Biden still wins Virginia, but it's going to be very close by a lead margin of roughly 3 percentage points, which actually, we have a poll that has Biden only up by roughly 3 or 4% in the state of Virginia. So it's going to be way closer than where it was back in 2020. And now as for the lean states for Donald Trump, in his best case scenario, I think Nevada would go to him by a lead margin as well as the southern state of Arizona. Even some of these Rust Belt states like Wisconsin would be lean for Trump in his best case, as well as Michigan. You saw what happened. 100,000 people voted uncommitted. And so with that being said, Biden can lose a lot of that support. And then as for Pennsylvania, a poll, most recent from Real Clear Politics, RCP actually has Trump winning the state by 4 points, which is the latest poll from RCP. And that is a lead margin, which is scary news for Biden considering that this basically is his home state. And that's not good news if this is your home state and you're losing it by 4 points. Yeah, that is scary for the Biden campaign. And so basically it comes down to, at the end of the day, issues like inflation, the economy, gas prices, grocery store prices, how much you're making overall, and basically, can you afford to live? And basically, was your life better when Trump was president, or is your life better now when Biden is president? And that's going to matter a lot to some of these Rust Belt voters. It's honestly going to come down to the working class, those blue-collar workers up in the Rust Belt. And I can tell you right now that even though Biden still got endorsed by the United Auto Workers, I'm not sure if that's really going to help him at all or not, based off the economy. Even in Trump's best case, I still think Biden will narrowly win the state of New Hampshire by a tilt margin by around 1 percentage point. Keep in mind, when Trump had his best case scenario in 2016, he still couldn't even win this state against Hillary Clinton, which is far worse than Joe Biden. And so, with that being said, I still think Biden will win New Hampshire at the end of the day. even in Trump's best case scenario, I just can't see Trump winning a state like New Hampshire. Let me know if you agree with that take in the comment section down below. And then the last and final state before we end off this video is going to be Minnesota. In Trump's best case, I have Biden winning it by a tilt margin of 1 point. Now, latest or recent polling in the state shows that Biden's up by 2 points, which is not good news for him. And keep in mind that Republicans have not won this state in such a long time. Not even Ronald Reagan won this state. He basically won every single state besides Minnesota. And if that's the case, then if Ronald Reagan couldn't do it, then Trump definitely can't do it as well, because Ronald Reagan was way more popular than Trump is, and he still couldn't win Minnesota. You think Trump is, who's less popular than Ronald Reagan? No, I don't think so. So even in Trump's best case, I still think, to be conservative here, I think Biden's going to win Minnesota by 1 point on average. And I know recent polling shows it's going to be very close. Biden's only up by 2 in this state, or 4, whatever it is. It's still going to be very close at the end of the day. The Minneapolis area has just shifted towards the left, and this state's going to be close no matter what. But this is where I have it as. In Trump's best case scenario, I'm winning 313 electoral votes to Joe Biden's 225, which will send him off to retirement. So let me know your overall thoughts and opinions on this map in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my margins? And also, what states you agree with or disagree with in the comment section down below. One last final reminder before I close out this video is to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my content. We are approaching 3,000 subscribers. And if you are interested, we have memberships. You can find the link to that in the description section. Thank you everyone for watching.